Hello, this is Echelon 3000, bringing you another deck profile. This is the deck I'm going to be taking into the Duel Links meta, or Master Duel meta's meme tournament. Basically, the meme tournament is a event where they're not playing the most used decks in terms of the decks that are hitting platinum on Master Duel right now. So there's no Tri Brigade, Drytron, Eldritch, Invoked, Adamax Player, or Babysitter Source, but any sort of Zodiac or Lyralist build that's pure or in addition to something else is allowed. So this is a list I'm bringing. It's Salamangreat. This is a deck that I spoke about previously on my channel. I think the deck is still pretty strong. I think it attacks the meta game in a unique way, and this is the list I'm going to bring today. To start by card, we'll go with the starters. So we have 3 Flame Bufflero. I'm still on Flame Bufflero. I tried Lady Debug for a while. Didn't really do the trick for me. Didn't think it was. I thought the ability to draw 2 cards and also set up the graveyard is pretty important, and one of the main reasons to set up the graveyard I'll speak on later in the matchups. We also have Salamangreat Foxy. Like before, it's a good starter. It's not the best starter, but it has a pretty unique effect that comes up a fair bit. Gazelle, you play the 1 Gazelle because it's the best card in the deck. Spinny, 3 Spinny because it's the second best Salamangreat in the deck. Falco is a way to recycle your resources. In addition, it's Jaguar. It's kind of the finishing card to your first turn combos. Your perfect board setup ends with the Jaguar on your field, and you have to be able to special summon it from deck. So you run 2 just to make sure you don't brick. It's relatively. If for some reason you have both Jaguars in your hand, your first turn is automatically really stunted. So you want to make sure that that doesn't happen. We're on 3 Parallel Exceed. The Parallel Exceed is your way if your hand is rather hand trap heavy or spell trap heavy. This is having 1 Parallel Exceed in your hand is a way to make it so you can do a full combo in any sort of direction, whether you go into a Salamangreat monster through it, or if you go for the access code talker line, or just use it to end on one of your XDs. So I think Parallel Exceed has to be played at 3. I played at 2 before. Didn't like it as 2 as much. I felt like just being able to see the card, even if on occasion you brick with it, with like say you draw 2, or say you have 1 in your hand, you activate Pod Desires, and then you banish one of them, you draw the other one, and now the card's dead. Besides that, it still has applications with like Flame Bufflero, another reason to play it over Lady Debug. I think it's still fine to play at 3. It can be a little bricky, but generally it's not. The Spell Trap lineup, we have 2 Pod Desires, 2 Pot's okay. I was on 3, but I cut it for a second Lightning Storm. I think the card's good. I think you generally want to see it, but it's not imperative that you see in your opening turn. I think that these slots are fairly flexible. If you told me you just want to play, 1 Will the Salamangreat and instead play 3 Pot, I think that's all fine. 2 Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm is just a board wipe deck. In a format like this where I can't predict that they're going to be playing a lot of the meta decks, in addition to there's a lot of different decks in Master Duel they can attack on many different angles. I like the idea of having a more flexible board wipe. Normally this would be either just 1 Lightning Storm or a Lightning Storm Harpy Feather Duster, but I think that 2 Lightning Storm with the unpredictability of this format, I think is going to be good. We have the 1 Sanctuary. You play it because you have to be able to search it. 2 Will. I was previously on 1 Will. I'm still uncertain about this, but I think with the massive amount of disruption, that Will is still good enough. If you have a Will in your hand and they negate one of your summons with Ash, it is very valuable to be able to pull something back and just keep going. There are a number of reasons you want to end on an extra 3 or an extra 4, just for either combo extension or to go into an Xyz. So I think being able to play the second Will is good. Pretty uncertain about this. Once again, you could shave one of these for a second Pod Desires, for the 3rd Signet Mining, and it'd be fine. The Searchers, 2 Signet Mining, 3 Salamangreat Circle. Circle's the best one. Signet Mining is fine. Signet Mining, pretty much it is like a bad circle. Theoretically, you could use it to get a Flame Bufflero, but you had to discard a card for Signet Mining, then discard a card for Flame Bufflero. You likely don't have enough cards to get through most disruptions, so not great. It's fine. Once again, I think you could justify playing either of these at 3. In terms of the actual disruption, we're on 2 Max C. I'm on 2 Max C today instead of 3. A lot of the decks that are banned out are very spammy deck. There's still decks like Dragon Link, Prank Kids, what's the third big one? Dragon League, Prank Kids, and then like you could do any sort of spammy deck besides that. But those two decks I expect to see in this tournament, and Maxi is really good against them, but they often will try to play through it anyway and just set up a bunch of negates. So I haven't found this card to be amazing. It's also really bad against the trap decks in general. Very strong, obviously, but not the best, and I value playing some of the other cards over it. 3 Ash Blossom, you always play 3 Ash. It's the best disruption in the game at this point, and you can recycle it with your Sunlight Wolf. 2 Call by the Grave, they are going to Ash Blossom you, and it's pretty bad. You got to be able to stop it. Infinite Permanence is the card is like the disruption spot I'm uncertain about. If I was playing in a regular tournament with those decks I previously mentioned in it, I probably would be on some number of Nibiru, either all 3 or like a 2-in-1. I think that Infinite Permanence, just getting a target negate on my opponent's turn, is going to be a little bit of a safer thing to have rather than the Nibiru's. Plus, this synergy going first against some sort of and against like a spell trap lineup does have some niche applications, but it's not amazing. One of each trap because I think they're good. The extra deck is still the same. We've added the 3rd Bailings, and we're still on the access code talker. You make Baguska when you need to. Mirage Die is the best one. It extends, and you have all your other cards you normally go into, including the Splash Mage, Up the Jammer, access code line. So some of the key points I think are really important about this deck right now is the ability to attack on different axes in the metagame. I think that this being a consistent first turn kill is very important for the deck. It is not difficult to assemble an access code talker line with 2 to 3 pops and an instant 8,000 damage. And so if you play through the right disruption, you can do that relatively easily, especially with parallel. But this deck also can play through Floodgates very well. We are on that 3 Foxy, and one of the things that'll come up is you activate Foxy in the graveyard and then discard a card special in the field, then destroy a face-up spell or trap. One of the things this is really good against is blowing up a Gozen match. Rivalry obviously isn't good against you, but you can destroy a rival. You can also destroy Skill Drain, because Skill Drain does not negate Foxy when it activates in the graveyard. So what you'll end up doing is building a board. Your opponent will set a bunch of cards, like say you're playing against True Draco or something, and then they'll like flip up a Skill Drain. Well, you can actually use Foxy to play through that Skill Drain by going for it first and then going for your regular lines. In addition to that, you'll just have a Foxy on the field, so it's great. You just combo off that way. Foxy, I think, is really good, and it should be played 3 for that reason. Another thing that makes Foxy good is Flame Bufflero to discard it. You need Foxy in the graveyard more often than you need it on the field, and so having the instant discard is good for that. In addition to extra copies of Parallel Exceed for Flame Bufflero, I think Flame Bufflero being able to discard besides the draw 2 is really important. Besides that, I think that the deck itself is relatively the same. I think that being able to attack on different metagames, being able to be a fast kill deck, being able to be really recursive when you're like cycling through your Link monsters, especially Heat, Leo, and Wolf, obviously. I think that the deck will do a lot in terms of having staying power, but it also can end the game very quickly. Is it the most explosive of the decks that you can currently play? I don't think so. I think that like if someone shows up with like a really tuned Paleo list, I don't think I have a good matchup against them outside of drawing Lightning Storm and they have nothing. I don't think that I think that one of the kind of weirder matchups that is strangely difficult is I think not what's that dragon deck called? They're all the same, those nasty dragon decks. But I think Dragon League is a fine matchup if you can play through it. But there's going to be Zoo decks. Zoo's always going to be tough. There's Sky Striker. Sky Striker's always... I think Sky Striker is actually generally a pretty good matchup, but it's still a powerful deck. Heroes. Heroes is the one. Heroes is a pretty bad matchup. I imagine people will be playing Heroes in the tournament. It's always a crowd favorite. And Dark Law is almost impossible for this deck to deal with outside drawing and permanence, which is another reason why we play it. If our opponent goes turn 1 Dark Law and we can't imperm the game is over. I've tried to play through it a number of times, it doesn't work. So I'm playing around kind of those specific monsters that are very difficult to beat. I think that I think that the synergies that I have kind of set in place with this deck are going to be strong enough to carry me through against a generalized best of one metagame. The format of the tournament is basically we enter a duel room, and the first people to get to a +5 record, so either 5-0, 6-1, 7-2, we'll make top 16. And then top 16 is the best of 3. When we get to best of 3, I have a couple sideboards in mind. I kind of want to see who gets through to see if I know the decks before I reveal what the sideboard is, but I will do that at part of the tournament if I make it. And then we'll see how best of 3 is. I think best of 3 is a much different format, and we can tune our decks a little bit more for that format. But for now, I think this is going to be a good deck to play. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching the video. I will hopefully provide some sort of tournament report at the end, assuming I don't scrub out. But as always, have a great day.